Was the Roman Empire truly built on marble and legions, or something far stranger? Did emperors really rule from the shadows, pulling strings while senators faded into obscurity? And what if the key to understanding this colossal empire wasn't found in grand battles or glittering palaces, but in a dusty, forgotten city called Trier? Imagine a winter's day in 368-9 AD. The wind howls across the Moselle River, whipping snow into a frenzy. You're standing before a colossal iron gate, the Porta Nigra, a silent sentinel guarding the entrance to a city unlike any you've ever seen. It's Trier, and it's about to swallow you whole. Not with swords and shields, but with the sheer, overwhelming weight of Romanity. Let's rewind. Caesar, a name synonymous with power, wouldn't recognize this world. Forget the Senate, the heart of Rome, a place of ancient tradition and political maneuvering. Here, the real authority resided in a sprawling bureaucracy, a new aristocracy forged from imperial decrees and endless paperwork. This wasn't a centralized power, it was an inside-out empire radiating outwards from its bustling capitals like a strange, pulsating organism. The story begins with senators. Once the undisputed masters of Rome, these blue-blooded men watched their influence crumble as a new breed of Roman rose to prominence. Constantinople, the new Rome, was rapidly eclipsing its older sister, a glittering metropolis fueled by ambition and a hunger for power. Suddenly, the carefully cultivated prestige of Roman aristocracy was being challenged by a rising tide of ambitious men who hadn't been born into privilege, but who clawed their way to the top through sheer force of will. Then came the embassy, a desperate plea carried by Symmachus and his entourage. Gold, heavy with expectation, was their weapon. They journeyed for hundreds of miles, a long, arduous trek to Trier, a city that had become the empire's reluctant focal point. Why Trier? Because the Emperor Valentinian, a man known for his unpredictable temper and penchant for shifting alliances, resided there. It was a city that had become a bureaucratic black hole, a place where the threads of imperial power were tangled and knotted, a place where even the most influential figures had to grovel for an audience. Trier wasn't built in a day or even a century. It started as a small military outpost, a strategic foothold on the Rhine frontier, a place where the hostile Treveri, a fierce Germanic tribe, could be kept at bay. But by the 4th century, it had transformed into something altogether different. It was a Roman city, undeniably profoundly Roman. Picture this, a 6-kilometer wall, thick as a building, rising from the landscape, punctuated by massive gateways, the Porta Nigra being the most impressive. This wasn't a defensive structure, it was a statement. It declared, this is Roman territory, this is Roman influence, this is Roman law, and beyond the walls, the city pulsed with life. The heart of Trier was being rebuilt, section by section, a testament to the empire's relentless expansion. The northeast quarter was transformed into a ceremonial center, a stage for imperial pronouncements and lavish displays of power. Palaces, cathedrals, and even imperial baths, the Kaiserthermen, rose from the ground, each stone meticulously placed, each column perfectly aligned. Underground passages connected the palace to the circus, a vast arena where imperial ceremonies unfolded. Imagine the scene, senators, generals, and dignitaries all vying for a glimpse of the emperor, the air thick with anticipation and the scent of incense. The circus wasn't just for entertainment. It was a symbol of imperial authority, a place where the emperor demonstrated his power and control. But the transformation wasn't limited to the grand structures. It was happening in the very fabric of the city. The streets were paved with Roman stone, the buildings constructed in Roman style, the laws enforced by Roman officials. Even the people were adopting Roman customs, speaking Latin, and embracing the Roman way of life. Consider the baths, the Barbarathermen, and the Kaiserthermen. These weren't just places to get clean, they were social hubs where Romans from all walks of life mingled and exchanged ideas. The Barbarathermen, built in the 2nd century, was a marvel of engineering, a testament to Roman ingenuity. It boasted a courtyard, cold baths, tepid baths, and hot baths, a complete bathing experience designed to soothe the body and mind. And then there were the villas, luxurious country estates that sprawled across the surrounding countryside. These weren't just homes, they were symbols of wealth and status, testaments to the empire's economic power. Some villas were grand, fit for an emperor, with opulent reception halls, mosaic floors, and intricate gardens. Others were more modest, but still offered a taste of Roman luxury. The villas were connected to Trier by a network of roads and waterways, creating a vast, integrated economic zone. The city served as the administrative center, while the countryside provided the resources and manpower. It was a symbiotic relationship, a carefully orchestrated balance of power. But the story of Trier isn't just about grand palaces and luxurious villas. It's also about the people who lived there, the soldiers, the merchants, the administrators, and the ordinary citizens who made up the empire's diverse population. Let's talk about Ausonius, a name that echoes through the centuries. This brilliant Latin scholar, born in Bordeaux, France, found himself in the orbit of Emperor Valentinian. He was a teacher, a rhetorician, a man who understood the power of words. And he came to Trier seeking patronage, seeking recognition, seeking a chance to advance his career. The fact that a Gaul, a man from outside Italy, could rise to such prominence in the Roman world is astonishing. It speaks to the empire's remarkable ability to absorb talent from across its vast territories. The story of Ausonius highlights a broader trend, the spread of Roman culture and language throughout the empire. By the 4th century, Latin was spoken in Gaul, Britain, North Africa, the Balkans, Asia Minor, and the Fertile Crescent. It was the language of commerce, of administration, of scholarship, and it wasn't just about speaking Latin. It was about embracing Roman values, adopting Roman customs, and identifying with the Roman Empire. People throughout the empire were becoming Roman in a way that went far beyond simply learning a new language. They were adopting the Roman worldview, the Roman sense of identity. The transformation wasn't limited to Trier. Roman cities dotted the map of northern Gaul, Britain, Spain, and North Africa. These cities were the administrative centers of their respective provinces, the hubs of commerce and culture. They were the engines of the empire, driving its expansion and prosperity. Caesar's ghost, if he could have witnessed this transformation, would have been utterly bewildered. In his day, northern Europe was a wild, untamed wilderness, populated by tribes who had little contact with the Roman world. Now, it was an almost entirely Roman landscape, its towns the administrative bedrock of the empire. The empire wasn't just expanding geographically, it was expanding culturally. Roman ideas, Roman customs, and Roman values were spreading throughout the provinces, transforming the lives of millions of people. But what caused this dramatic shift? What prompted the empire to spread so rapidly, so thoroughly? The answer, as the story of Symmachus and Trier reveals, lies in the emergence of a new aristocracy, a bureaucracy of imperial officials who wielded immense power and influence. This new aristocracy wasn't based on birth or wealth, it was based on service to the emperor. These officials were loyal, ambitious, and willing to do whatever it took to advance their careers. They controlled the flow of resources, appointed officials, and enforced the emperor's will. The imperial bureaucracy became the new Roman aristocracy, replacing the demilitarized and marginalized Senate of Rome. And as the bureaucracy grew in power, so too did the empire's ability to project its authority throughout its vast territories. The gold carried by Symmachus and his embassy wasn't just a gift to the emperor, it was a symbol of the empire's wealth and power. It was a reminder that the emperor controlled the flow of resources, that he could reward his loyal supporters and punish his enemies. The journey to Trier, a long and arduous trek across the Rhine frontier, was a testament to the empire's reach. It showed that even the most influential figures had to submit to the emperor's authority. But the story of Symmachus and Trier raises a more fundamental question. What had changed between 50 BC and AD 369? The Roman world in Caesar's day had been physically similar, but there had been no need for two emperors or for such a wide distribution of patronage to prevent usurpation and revolt. The answer, it seems, lies in the emergence of the imperial bureaucracy. This new aristocracy created a system of patronage that was both efficient and self-serving. It rewarded loyalty, encouraged ambition, and ensured that the emperor's will was carried out. The transformation wasn't just about buildings and institutions, it was about people. It was about the rise of a new Roman elite, a bureaucracy of officials who were more interested in serving the emperor than in upholding Roman traditions. And it was about the spread of Roman culture and language throughout the empire. People throughout the provinces were adopting Roman customs, speaking Latin, and identifying with the Roman Empire. By the 4th century, the empire had become a mosaic of city territories, each city governed by a city council of decurions. These councils were responsible for administering their cities, collecting taxes, and maintaining order. The transformation extended to the countryside as well. Roman villas sprang up throughout the provinces, transforming the landscape and creating a new rural aristocracy. The story of Trier is a microcosm of the empire's transformation. It's a story of conquest, of expansion, of cultural exchange, and of political change. It's a story that reveals the complex and often contradictory forces that shaped the Roman world. So, what does it all mean? Was the Roman Empire truly built on marble and legions, or something far stranger? Did emperors really rule from the shadows, pulling strings while senators faded into obscurity? And what if the key to understanding this colossal empire wasn't found in grand battles or glittering palaces, but in a dusty, forgotten city called Trier? Perhaps the most profound realization is this: the Roman Empire wasn't just a political entity, it was a cultural phenomenon. It was a way of life, a set of values, a shared identity that transcended national boundaries. And it was this shared identity that ultimately allowed the empire to endure for centuries, long after its emperors had fallen. The legacy of Rome is still with us today, in our language, our law, our architecture, and our political institutions. And it all began in a small city on the Rhine frontier, a city called Trier, a city that swallowed an embassy and in doing so, swallowed the very definition of the Roman world. Now let's consider this final question. If the empire truly transformed itself through the embrace of a new culture, a new way of life, does it matter that the original Rome with its Senate and its traditions faded into the shadows?